Go. What's up, Front Row Dads? John Vroman here. Very excited for today because this is the first solo show that we're doing for the Front Row Dads podcast. And we're also going to be putting these out every single week on our Front Row Dads Facebook page. And we're going to be sharing this in our weekly insights email. So however you like to consume content, we want to be able to deliver it in that way. And the purpose of these solo shows are a few things. Number one, just to tell you what's going on inside this brotherhood so you can stay connected and involved. I get a lot of questions about how do I join as a member and what is a member of Front Row Dads look like? Tell me about these retreats, John, and all these different things. We also have other events that a lot of our Front Row Dad members would attend, like our summit that we have in the summer or Best Year Ever Blueprint that Front Row Foundation and Best Year Ever have partnered together. We have that one in December. Anyway, there's lots of stuff going on, and I want to make sure there's a place to be able to communicate it to you guys. So I'm also interested in your feedback. So after you listen to this, if you've got any insights for me, things that you want to know that I'm not covering, by all means, this is going to be a work in progress, and I'm excited to build it with you. So my intent today is to be able to share with you a couple things. Number one, I want to talk to you a little bit about the shows that have just come out on the podcast and the ones that we've got in the lineup. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about this reading program that I've got with Tiger, my 9-year-old, going on right now, and I think some of you would appreciate that. I want to talk to you also about an app that I've been using that has been absolutely awesome. Some of you might already be on it, but if you're not, you want to check this out. I want to tell you a little bit about my Easter and why it was awesome and why it was also a disaster. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And membership. Mentioned it just a moment ago, but I do want to tell you how you can become a member of Front Row Dad, since I'm getting a lot of questions. And one of my buddies, Ryan, sent me a message not too long ago. He said, I think I know where the breakdown is in your marketing funnel. He said, there's nowhere to sign up for Front Row Dads. And I said, yeah, that's kind of intentional, and I'll tell you why, but we'll also tell you when we do open up for membership, and we'll do this probably twice a year. And one of those opportunities is coming up near Father's Day. So we'll be opening up for membership there, and we'll tell you how to get involved if you want to. And then lastly, I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge for the week and tell you how you can get more connected to Front Row Dads with a 10-second simple step that you can take right now today. All right, with all that being said, again, I'm not going to record this 100 times, so I may not be the most efficient here, but hell, just put it on 1.5 or 2 times speed and we'll get through all this. So guys, let me start by saying welcome to anybody that's either watching this or listening to this for the first time. Front Row Dads is a brotherhood of men who want to be family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. And this all started not because I'm a parenting or marriage expert, but because I was failing in this department and I wanted answers. And I like to learn with amazing people. I love reading. I love going online and doing some searching there or watching great documentaries and all the different forms of learning, but nothing quite beats learning with a group of people who are committed to being better. And I want to level up my dad game, my husband game, and I wanted to surround myself with awesome guys, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here with Front Row Dads. So if you feel that's a fit for you, then you may have found a place that, hey, not only are you're not coming, by the way, to hear me share all the great wisdom. I hope to just interview experts and share that with you. I hope to tell you my failures and my experiments and what is working and where I'm getting traction. And I hope to learn the same from you. So our community on Facebook is a place where you can ask the questions that you want. You can give the solutions that you have found. You can just celebrate wins, things that are going well for you. And by doing so, other people can start having those same wins in their life, or you can give props to people. It's a place where you can recognize and give shout outs to other brothers that are doing incredible work and inspiring you. So with all that being said, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with our podcast interviews. And we've had some incredible guests on. Recently I spoke with a guy named Derek, who I absolutely love this guy. Just, when I think of the perfect husband, father, and then friend that I get a chance to associate with, I think of somebody that is both has wisdom, yet who is wise enough to know there's more to learn. I like the balance of confidence and humility. I like people that know how to make a decision and don't have any problem with that, but I also love people that remain open and curious to new ideas and are always interested in growth. And so Derek had reached out and we were talking about Front Row Dads. And one of the things that's so cool is that this guy is so smart. In fact, he might be listening right now. He's so smart. But yet still in that space of being so successful as an entrepreneur and as a family man, he told me that he found the podcast and he went back and he's been listening to an episode every day to get caught back up. And I listen, does that feel good? Of course. But I also know that I'm only taking part of the credit for scheduling the shows or finding the guests. But the wisdom is coming from these amazing guests that we have. And also, I feel not only proud of that, but I'm so excited that Derek and guys like Derek are taking action and learning at such a deep level. And so I just want to give props to Derek. And also I wanted to tell you that, look, if you're new to this show, try to go back and listen to a lot of the past episodes and get caught up as best you can, binge on these episodes, because there's so much wisdom. I mean, I could literally go through and just pick out one gem from every episode that got of these guys that we've been talking to. And so just recently, for example, Sachin Patel, if you haven't listened to his show, this is a show that will melt your face off with the incredible wisdom that he imparts about taking care of your health. Now, why is that so important? Listen, if you want to have the energy and the stamina and the clarity and all of what you need to be an epic family man, you need your health dialed in. And Sachin is an incredibly wise individual. In fact, my friend, Joe Polish, had told me some really incredible things. My friend Chip Franks was endorsing Sachin at such a high level. We brought him into our retreat that we had here, our dad's retreat. 40 men get together in Austin, and we talk about lots of things, including health. And so we decided to take the taping of that show and share it with you guys on the podcast. So you can listen to his Q&A session at our Front Row Dads retreat, and you can listen to it on the podcast or on the website at frontrowdads.com. So definitely want to check that one out. Also, Brian Mazza, who you would have just heard from a couple days ago if you're listening to these things in order. And Brian is this uber successful business guy out of New York. And I'll tell you, he's got a lot of things working for him. Number one, speaking of health, he's really focused in that area. In fact, he's been on the cover of Men's Health magazine twice. Brian has built, businesses in the food and beverage industry. He's built clothing lines. He's a really fascinating guy. But one of the things that we talked about, I never know, honestly, where these shows are going to end up. But one of the most moving parts of that show is when Brian got totally open and real about his journey with he and his wife getting pregnant, and how he was struggling there, and how he felt like a failure, and how he fought through that, and how they found IVF as a solution. But he just opened up and talked really candidly about that experience. And the thing is, I've never been through that personally, but I was deeply moved by that, because the human element of overcoming adversity, fighting through, finding a way, questioning our identity, creating a new identity, all those things really got me. And I think that regardless of whether or not you've ever pursued an IVF type route for pregnancy, you're going to love the episode. And part of that was probably only, 7 minutes or so of the entire show. There's a lot of things that we talked about from his routine and his habits. You're going to really dig that show. Upcoming on the podcast, Andrew Newman. This guy is the author of a kids book series that I'm just a huge fan of. The book is, the website is actually called ConsciousStories.com. And there's a book of the month club. In fact, I think he said maybe he has 15 books in the series now, but they're awesome books, guys. They're really in fact, reading the book, I was like, if I was going to do a kid's book, this is what I want it to look like, feel like. I mean, there's breathing exercises at the beginning. There's activities you can do with the kids at the end. And my son Tiger, who's 9, my son Ocean, they're just riveted with these books, because I think they get that there's a profound message. Not only are the illustrations just beautiful, but the messages are extremely powerful. So Andrew Newman's on the show. We're talking storytelling and men's work. It's really a great show. My buddy Charlie Engle is coming up on the podcast. Make sure to check that out. Charlie, by the way, not only did here's something amazing. He ran across the Sahara Desert with 2 other guys. And check this out. This is mind-blowing. He ran for 111 days, on average 2 marathons per day, without missing a day, for 111 days. Now, I watched this documentary about his life, and Charlie got introduced to me by a couple of our mutual friends, my buddies over at GoBundance, who had Charlie come in and speak. And I'll tell you that so not only was I immediate fan of Charlie after watching the movie, and I caught a quick phone chat with him, but I was like, we have to have him on the show because he's a dad. And I wanted to talk to him about, things that he, I think, faces at a very high level. Like, how do you know when it's okay to quit? How do you know when you should push through? And how do a lot of the lessons that he's learned through endurance events like the one that I just described, how do they affect his ability to be a dad and a husband? He's got another epic adventure coming up now where he's going from the lowest point on earth to the highest point on earth. He's calling it the 5.8. So this is literally, he's free diving to the bottom of this particular part of the ocean, and then he's summiting Mount Everest. It's an epic adventure. Charlie is just such a powerful force, guys, and I can't wait for you to hear him on the podcast. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you're not already subscribed so you don't miss a single show. And those release on Tuesdays. And then finally, the last one I want to tell you about is Marcus Sheridan. This guy is so cool. I met him on a boat with my buddy Michael Port, who invited me out a couple summers ago. And I was just talking to Marcus, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Just love Marcus's energy. He's authentic. He's real. Like, he's somebody that the minute I met him, I knew I've got to continue to learn from Marcus Sheridan. He runs a company, big company, very successful, actually multiple companies. He's been really successful online. But one of the things that he's done so well is he has not let his online business, his success as an entrepreneur, negatively impact his ability to be a world-class family man. And so we talk a lot about how he balances those things and how he takes his kids on some of his travel, which I want to talk about a little bit with you later on in this show today. So Marcus Sheridan's going to be on. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the podcast, by the way. Your reviews that I'm checking out on iTunes are awesome. And if you get a chance, by the way, to share a little bit of a rating or a review at some point, takes a minute or two, I deeply appreciate it. I think we've created a link that makes it easy for you to get there, although I've heard some people say it didn't work for them. But if you go to frontrowdads.com/review, should pop open your iTunes and immediately convert to the review page. That's the way it's supposed to work. So let me know if it works or if it doesn't. But guys, if you screenshot your review, mention the podcast guests in that review that you really enjoyed, and tell me your mailing address, I will put something in the mail to say thank you to you for taking the time to write that. And it means the world to us, because the more reviews we get, the more exposure we get. And we deeply believe that Front Row Dads is needed in the world. We deeply believe that the more people that we have in this brotherhood, the more powerful we get. The more men we have, the more connections that open up, the more people we get to interview, the more wisdom that gets curated so that all of us can impact our families. And look, at the end of the day, we all want to just have amazing families and serve them at the highest level, and that's what we're trying to do here. So we'd love for you to be a part of this. This is not going to work if it's just me and a couple of my friends. We need more and more people to be a part of Front Row Dads. All right, guys, moving on. I want to talk to you a little bit about my recent experiences reading with my 9-year-old. Now, my question to you guys is, what is your program right now for reading with your kids? Now, I want to clarify here, this matters to anybody who's listening to this. So, for example, if you've got a newborn, right? If the baby is in the belly, you should be reading to your child. There's never a moment when it's too early to start reading. I mean, truly, like, your baby is hearing your voice when your baby is in the belly, right? You have got to start communicating, and there's an intention, there's an energy there that's impacting the growth of your child, the development of your child. When your child is 1 to 18, you should be reading together. Now it's gonna change. It's gonna vary. Like, one of the things that we're doing with Tiger being 9 and Ocean being 4 is that sometimes Tiger is reading the book to Ocean, my 4-year-old, when we're sitting around together. Sometimes I'm reading a book that they both enjoy. And sometimes, yeah, it's a little young for Tiger or maybe a little older for Ocean, but we're just trying to read together. We're trying to read for 20 minutes every night. That's the commitment. 20 minutes every night. Even from the road, dialing in, FaceTime, reading a story, or being part of the story when my wife is reading and I'm on FaceTime and I could just be part of that experience. Somehow, some way, 20 minutes of reading every single day. Now, I mentioned Conscious Stories from Andrew Newman. I'm a huge fan. I think those are great. But guys, if you have older kids, think about reading books with them. Thinking about picking up a book and you both read it, right? You could be reading it separately, but then you're talking about it, you're discussing it. Listen, if you are out there and you're listening and you're like me, you're 43 years old and you've got a dad who's still with you, that is present in your lives, think about reading with your dad. Think about actually reaching out to your dad and say, let's read a book together right now, right? Just, hey, we'll dig into a chapter. We'll get on a call once a week and we'll just say, what did you learn? I think reading together at any age, at any level is such a critical part of creating a successful relationship, both, I should say with anybody, even like my wife. We're reading a book right now, which I wanted to tell you about. I thought I might have it around me. It's called 8 Dates. My buddy Adam Stock had sent it to me, and it's by Gottman, a famous relationship guy, and I think somebody else helped write that book, but it's called 8 Dates. Well, my wife and I are going through that book right now, so we're reading together. The Front Row Foundation team, many of you know, so half my week is spent on Front Row Dads, and that's my for-profit business, and half my week is spent with Front Row Foundation, which is a nonprofit business, a charity that helps kids and adults who have a life-threatening illness get a front row experience to the event of their dreams. But everywhere I'm doing reading clubs with people. So for example, in Front Row Foundation, we're reading a book right now, and we're getting together every single morning, 9 a.m. Central, and doing a conversation around the book that we're reading. My kids and I are reading. My wife and I are reading. These are just opportunities for us to connect and grow as a family. So the real question is, right, what are you reading? What's your program? Listen, I would love to hear more about this. So where we go from here, depending on where you're consuming this video or this audio, make sure to jump into our Facebook page, frontrowdads.com/Facebook, so that you can share some of the books that you're reading or programs that you're using. That's a great place for you to either ask for suggestions of great books or offer up some great books. But we want this to be a resource for excellent, content that we can find through books. So that's one. I also wanted to tell you about a couple of books I'm digging. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I'm listening to an audiobook every morning on my ride to school with Tiger. So we have 20 minutes in the car, and most mornings, I'm not going to say every morning, most mornings we listen to an audiobook together. And right now we're listening to, my son would call him Uncle Hal, but we're listening to Hal Elrod's Miracle Equation book that just came out. It's absolutely awesome. It's doing really, really well. We got it on audio, and we're digging in. Every morning we're listening to it. And one of the things I want to teach Tiger is also how to leave reviews for people, how to acknowledge people, how to recognize people. So, the other day we were listening to the Miracle Equation. We pick up the phone. We just record a quick, 30-second video for Hal, and we send it off. Can we teach our kids to love on other people when we enjoy their content? So this is actually something I love to do all the time. For example, with Andrew Newman, now I had him on my podcast, but if I didn't, I would have read his book. I would have picked up the phone. I would have recorded a video, and I would have sent it through his website to Andrew Newman from my kids to say thank you to Andrew Newman. I think teaching our kids to reach out to people and thank them and acknowledge them is a really important part of consuming content with kids. So, by the way, Miracle Equation, awesome book. Check it out. Check out audiobooks and use those in the car whenever possible, right? I think that's a really good one. We also started listening to Wealth Can't Wait by David Osborne, one of our Front Row Dads, amazing guy. And Wealth Can't Wait is a book that I wanted my son to start listening to, actually because he prompted it. He said, Dad, it was actually funny. He wanted to know why we don't own a Tesla, because a couple of our friends own Teslas. And he's like, Dad, we're the only ones that don't own a Tesla. And I'm like, well, buddy, let's talk about how people make enough money to buy those cars. And, make sure I didn't just lose you guys. All right, that's still going. All right, I thought I might have just lost you. My screen went blank. Anyway, all right, I'm back. All right, sorry guys for that interruption there. Anyway, Wealth Can't Wait. So Tiger was asking about money, and I said, hey, let's learn about it together. Let's learn about how people make money, because anytime Tiger wants something, I think that's awesome. I mean, if Tiger says, Dad, I really want this thing, I'm like, yes, that's awesome that you want that. If he says, hey, can I have that? He loves that I do this. I always respond by going, absolutely. Now, the first time I did this, he goes, really? I go, absolutely, you can have that. Let me show you how to get it. right? Now he thought that meant, well, I'm going to buy it for him or whatever. But now when he says, Dad, I really want that telescope or whatever it is, I go, awesome. He goes, can I have it? I'm like, yes. And then he goes, really? And I go, yeah, let me show you let's talk about a business that you can set up and how you can make the money to go out and buy that thing. Because that's what I really want him to do, is learn how to make money, how to take care of himself, how to get the things that he wants, in his life. All right, guys, last book suggestion. I know this is a lot of book suggestions on day one here, but the last book suggestion I'm going to give you is The Miracle Morning for Couples, which is a co-authored book between Hal Elrod and my amazing friends, Lance and Brandy Salazar. Lance is also a front row dad. There's a lot of connections here, isn't there? But anyway, that's The Miracle Morning for Couples. Awesome book. You guys got to check it out. In fact, if I move out of the camera, it's underneath another book. Anyway, it's on my end table there right behind me. So Miracle Morning for Couples, guys, got to check that out. Lance has been on our podcast. He's also in the membership area. So if you do become a Front Row Dad member, you'll be able to connect with both Hal Elrod and Lance Salazar and David Osborne and other amazing people that we've had on the podcast inside of our members area. Great community and great focus, right? Think about the wisdom that's being cultivated by these incredible leaders. But this book, got to check it out. The Miracle Morning for Couples, also a great one to be downloading and listening to when you're in the car with your spouse or with your family. I mean, you can determine whether or not it's age appropriate for your kids. I mean, I think it's a great one. Or you both listen to a chapter, you and your spouse, over the course of the week, and then talk about it however you guys schedule time to connect in that way. Now, you might have date night that's all fun. You also might have date days or appointments where you can talk about things that are a little bit more, heavy. I don't know if that's the right word, but where you're not just focused on fun. All right, guys, that's all the book suggestions I have. Wanted to give you an app suggestion today also. So, guys, I've been digging the 5-Minute Journal app. I'm not going to say a lot about it other than the fact that lately I've been really digging it. And it's been really making a difference for me about how I'm treating conversations with my kids. And I'll tell you more and more about it as time goes on, but I've been in it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm having a great time with it. And it's just basically, if you don't know, I'll give you the short, and I can actually show you. When you open up the app, it just asks you right there, if you're watching this in the Facebook group, can you see that? Yeah. Add today's image, write today's morning entry and evening entry. And then when you click on one, like the morning entry, it just says, hey, I'm grateful for. And you write out 3 things you're grateful for. And what will I do to make today great? And you write out 3 things there. And then the daily affirmations, you say, I am, and you can fill in an affirmations there. You just do this every morning and every night. The evening ones are 3 amazing things that happened today, and how could I have made today even better? So anyway, I snap a little photograph, I put it in the journal, and then you can export all the notes away from that if you wanted. So you could create a PDF and export your journal, which I think is really, really cool. So guys, that is a fun app that I've been using. All right, now I want to talk to you about something else here. I want to talk to you about Easter. So guys, Easter just passed. It was a blast. We had a lot of fun. I don't know about you. My kids ended up with like 3 Easter egg hunts, which is totally crazy. We did one in the morning, so they come downstairs, and I hid eggs all over the house, and they had an absolute blast. We also did one in our neighborhood. One of the neighborhood girls put it together for all the young kids. She's amazing. Shout out to Sophia here in our neighborhood. And then also we did one at our friend's house on Easter morning or Easter afternoon, and it was absolutely awesome. And they put, I should say that our wives got together and put on this Easter egg hunt, and it was absolutely epic. So the way they structured it, the way they worked it they had little prizes inside the eggs versus candy, which I was a really big fan of, and I thought that was really fun. But it all worked out really well. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a beautiful Easter, and I'm super grateful for everything that happened. But one of the things I want to tell you is that I want to tell you about a couple of my failures. So one is I had this intention, I even shared it within our group, about, hey, over the course of the week leading up to Easter, I'm going to put Easter egg baskets together for grandma and great grandma. I'm going to have the kids get involved. I'm going to have them decorate their own baskets, and we're going to do all this stuff, right? And it's going to be epic. And I had all these plans. And it just didn't shake out that way. Now, you could say, I just didn't make it happen. And you'd be right? Like I failed in that area. I could have planned better. I could have made the time. I could have made it happen. And I just flat out failed. I'll own that. What I realized is that in the past, I would really beat myself up about it, and it would actually negatively impact the holiday itself, or I would bring that negativity into my family because I felt like I failed at such a high level. And what I will tell you I did this time was I tried not to do that, right? I really focused on being joyful and light and saying, hey, look, I set the bar really high. I had big goals. I didn't hit them all. But ultimately, there was a lot of things we still did right that made Easter work out great. And I'm really thankful about the whole thing. I think our kids had a blast. At least that's what they tell me. I think their smiles said a lot. But I just wanted to tell you that it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. And I'm hoping that maybe you're out there and you're like, I could totally relate, John. I mean, interestingly, holidays for me are sometimes more stressful than any other day, where it should be perhaps all fun and all celebration and all light, but there's sometimes a lot of pressure around that, like having to get it right. And Tiger and Mom weren't getting along about the shirt that he was going to wear because he wanted to wear a t-shirt and she wanted him to wear a super nice shirt. So I don't know if you can relate to any of this, but I just realized that this Easter, my takeaways were I need to continually focus on how I manage my own emotions around holidays and how I can affect my family through that process. I need to make sure that I'm planning these holidays like I would plan anything else, a really big, important event. Actually, I need to set a reminder on my computer for 2 weeks out from every major holiday so that I'm getting little notifications. And listen, even if your wives are mostly in charge of the holidays as an example, and it's different in every home, right? You might be in charge, they might be in charge. My point is, don't check out completely. Don't leave all this to your spouse, your partner, even if they're really good at it. Like, be involved in the holidays, in the planning, in thinking through, even from a high level, like, what do you want this holiday to mean to your kids? What value do you want them to get out of it? Because one of my thoughts is I don't want these holidays to all be about just what they're getting. I want them to understand it's about giving as well. And so that's a very intentional thing you've got to plan. You've got to actually put it into play and talk about it with your kids and set the expectations properly, follow through, make it work, and then talk about how it all went. So I'd love to hear more about, I'd like to have holiday conversations in our Facebook group about how you're approaching birthdays, Christmas, Hanukkah, anniversaries for your spouse, whatever it is. I want to talk about how you're approaching those holidays because I think there's a lot that can happen that's good around the holidays. And I also think there's a lot of things that can really be screwed up around the holidays. I mean, listen, those are places where kids could get spoiled. As well, they could learn the wrong lessons. You want to give them everything, and sometimes you're giving them everything, but what they really, really need. So you got to be careful there. All right, guys, moving on here. A couple last things, and then we'll be wrapping our first solo show. And I know this went a little long. I don't think they'll all go this long, although who knows? Some of the people that know me are gonna be like, they'll probably go all this long. But anyway, check it out. Membership. Let's get into membership, Front Row Dads. So I haven't talked a lot about this intentionally. And part of it was because, look, Front Row Dads started in October of 2016, and it didn't start as a business for me. I mean, I just really got 30 of my buddies together in Philadelphia because we wanted to all get better at this husband and, father thing. We wanted to get better at being family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. And so since then, it's evolved. And now this has become my full-time gig, which is really exciting. So this is my focus of helping to bring together amazing men, curate amazing content, and then apply it in ways that makes a difference to you personally and to your families. So what we've done is we created this membership area. And the way that it works is we have an open Facebook group where you can just go to frontrowdads.com/Facebook. We have, approaching 900 guys in there right now. And we can have a conversation there, right? And by the way, if that's where it ended, that's wonderful. We want to create a place of immense value there for you between this podcast, these weekly videos that we're going to be creating, and that conversation that's available. That's going to be plenty for many of you. And membership may not be the right thing. But for people who want to go a little bit further, want to deepen their relationships with a smaller group of men, we have 85 members as I record this right now inside Front Row Dads. Now, these are all high-performing, entrepreneurial type men who want to focus on, really, we have 5 pillars in Front Row Dads. So one is vibrant health. That's always a topic we're going to dig into, not only your personal health, but the health of your family. Another one is emotional mastery. right? How do you manage your mindset, self-awareness, self-reliance? This is a managing your emotions so that you're not flying off the handle. You're even keeled for your family. You bring an energy to the table, which is powerful. We want to focus on a thriving marriage. And that's a big topic for lives, right? If you have a great marriage, your ability to parent and lead is so much better, because that primary relationship, most people would agree on this. It's not kids first. It's actually primary partner first. It's relationship first with your spouse, then your kids. And then we also have in there intentional parenting. This idea that I credit my buddy Dan Martell for is everybody's homeschooling their kids, whether they realize it or not. Even if you pay for a high-end education, I would challenge you to view it like you're sending them away for supplemental education, but you're the primary educator, and take that role and take it very seriously. So we want to talk about educational strategies in the group, and we also want to talk about integrated living. How do we blend it all together? And I'll talk about that in just a minute when I tell you about a trip I'm taking with Tiger. But how do we blend our lives? How do we balance the work and family? Or how do we integrate the work and family? How do we make it all work together in harmony? A little bit about what Marcus Sheridan was talking about with his travel with his kids, or Joey Coleman when we had him on a show and all the travel he's done with his kids. But anyway, the membership area is a private group that guys have access to. We also have 2 monthly calls. So we have a riff call on the second Thursday of every month. And this is an opportunity for guys to get on the phone, and we'll talk about any subject we want, where guys can ask questions and people can offer up insights. But we usually have, 25 to 30 guys that'll jump on any one of those calls. And we have this great conversation on our riff call. And then we have a training call on the fourth Thursday of every month, which is where we bring in experts. This month we've got Hal Elrod, who wrote The Miracle Equation, which I talked about earlier in the episode. He's going to be talking about not the miracle equation per se, but he's going to be talking actually about his marriage with his wife Ursula, and how some things that he's doing in that space really making a difference for him. So he's going to be sharing some really good insights on that, which is going to be a lot of fun. So we have these training calls every single month. And then our members get invites to our retreats. And then twice a year, both in the spring and the fall, we have these retreats. So we have one typically in March, April in Austin, and then we have another one in October that travels. This October, we're going to be in San Diego. And these retreats there's invites that go out for these retreats to our members first, and then to the rest of the group, or then to the rest of Front Row Dads after that. And they usually sell out within our member group right away. Again, they're 40 people-ish at our retreats, and we have about 85 members, so they almost always sell out. But we, at those retreats, 3 days. So day one is all about building brotherhood, all about building relationships. Day two is about, digging into the content. What's the theme? What are we learning? Let's journal, let's talk, let's share, let's have some question and answer sessions. And it's all, by the way, infused with activities and great food, and usually an amazing location. And day three is all about actions and plans. How do we take this information, put it into play? How do we schedule this in our calendar so that we can make it work? And how are we going to hold each other accountable? Which brings me to my next point, which is we have inside the membership area these small groups that we call bands. So bands are 4 guys, give or take 1 guy. So some are 5, some are 3, but they're about 4 guys. And these guys get together typically once a month, either in person or virtually, and they dig in even deeper. They develop a more intimate relationship within that group. They have their own set of rules, and they operate as bands. And so the band is a little bit of a play on the band of brothers idea, and also bands as it relates to being in the front row of life, if you will. So that we have these groups, these small groups called bands. If all that sounds interesting to you, then you might consider membership. And the best way to get notified when we open up for membership is just by being on our email list. And it's really easy. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I was going to tell you at the end, but I'll tell you right now, we just set up a system. I'm really excited about it. So if you text Front Row Dads to 314-665-1767, you can join our email list. And this is where I'll be sending out actually this video along with other things that I think you'd want to know, latest insights on podcasts, and when we open up membership, we'll send it through that channel. So that's our main dad list. If you just want to be in and connected to Front Row Dads, you definitely want to be on that list. And look, even if you have to roll it up with your other emails and check them as you wish, just make sure that content is making it to you so you know where and when things are happening. So again, text Front Row Dads with a space in between the words. It's fine. Just Front Row Dads as you would write it out normally to 314-665-1767. And then it'll ask you for your email. You type back your email and you will be added to the list, and you should start getting the weekly insight email. And make sure to check, by the way, when you do that, that it's not going to get caught in junk or spam right away, because I know that's a big, I mean, I have a lot of good stuff that ends up in junk and spam on a regular basis. So make sure to check there. But guys, that's how you would know about our membership that's opening up. But that's going to be coming in June. That's coming in June for Father's Day. We're doing a big launch. And listen, everybody that's in Front Row Dads, I do a personal interview with to ensure that there's a good fit. But I'm telling you right now who it is, right? We're looking for high-performing, entrepreneurial type guys who want to be family men with businesses, not businessmen with families, guys that have wisdom and yet who are wise enough to know there's more to learn. There's a balance of confidence and humility, and we have an amazing group of men right now. And if it sounds like one that you'd be interested in, please check it out. And I'll tell you right now, some other things. One is if you're a member of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, I love that group, by the way. I keynoted one of their events. We have a number, I don't know, maybe a dozen members in Front Row Dads that are all EO members. If you're in EO, I think you'd really appreciate Front Row Dads. Just throwing it out there, because so many great guys have come through that are also connected to that group. So anyway, guys, that is what's up with Front Row Dads membership. If you have any questions, just email me, John, Jon at frontrowdads.com. And my last thing I'm going to say today, and we're going to close out this solo show, is this. My challenge to you, my invite to you, something to focus on this week, is to figure out ways to integrate your life, your work life, your business life with your kids and your wife. And I'll give you two examples of exactly what I'm talking about here. So number one is that next week, I am going to be taking my son Tiger, who's 9, to Rapid City, South Dakota. I've got a keynote speech there, an event called Day of Excellence, 1,700 people, amazing group. I spoke there maybe 5 years ago, and I'm being brought back. It's their 10-year anniversary, and I'm very honored to say they voted up their best speakers, and I was brought back for the 10-year anniversary. So I'm excited. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And my little boy Tiger, who's not so little anymore, man. This kid's like 4'7". He's going to be coming along with me, and we made it a 5-day trip. So we're flying in, and we're going to be doing the national parks when we're there. So day one, we fly in, we get a little hiking, then we're going to do a sound check at the studio or at the venue. And then the next day, we're at the event all day. And Tiger's going to be there. He's going to be listening to the speeches, and he's going to be a part of this whole thing, man. I'm really, really excited about it. So Tiger's going to be in the audience and mixing and mingling, and I'm going to be introducing him to amazing people, which is going to be really, really cool. And then the next day, we're going to go on a hike, and I've got a second speech for a company called Black Hills Energy, and I'm going to be running this speech for them at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Tiger will be a part of that. He'll get a chance to meet people and get exposed to my world, which is going to be really fun. And then the next day, we're going to just hike all day, a national park. Just he and I, Mount Rushmore, Badlands, all these parks that are up that way. We're going to hike. We're going to have great epic meals together and talk about life and just create this incredible experience for him. And the next day, we hike in the morning and we fly home. It's going to be 5 days in total, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. And I'm just so fired up about it. So things like that is what I'm saying. Now, you might not be a speaker, or it might not look like that for you. Likely, you're not a speaker. I mean, I know we have some in the community, but for many of you, it might be travel. It might be something else. But just think about the ways that you can blend your business and your family. It's not like, hey, make sure when you walk in the door that all your business is left at the office and it's just family time. No, ask yourself, what's the best of your business that you can either bring home, or what's the best, who can you bring into your business from your family, right? And how do you blend the two so that you can show your kids what you do at work and let them meet the amazing people and see how you operate in the real world? So I think it's really important. There's lots of other things I could talk about when it comes to work-life integration, but that's just one example for you that I wanted to share, and I wanted to generate some conversation around it. I wanted to challenge you this week to really take a hard look and sit down with your journals and be processing, how am I integrating my work and my family life? And what are all the creative ways that you can get there? Now, you might not have 1,000 answers that pop up to you. You might not have 10. You might not even have 3 answers that pop up right away. But if you sit with that question long enough, I guarantee an answer will present itself to you, and you will create a stronger family dynamic as a result of it. So, guys, that's it. Again, text Front Row Dads to get the weekly insights. Make sure that we notify you when membership opens up in around Father's Day for Front Row Dads, and we'd love to chat with you. If you need anything else in the meantime, just hit me up, john@frontrowdads.com. That's JON@frontrowdads.com. And if you're listening to this for the first time, brand new to the podcast, brand new to Front Row Dads, really glad that you're here and excited about the direction that we're all moving in. The world needs epic families, and nobody else is going to solve this problem. We have to. The problems of the world, the problems that we are all facing, all of us, it's solo problems and collective problems. They're big. And we've got to really dig in here, and we've got to be good in order to make sure that not only our families are good, but collectively as a population, as a human race, that we all can flourish and thrive. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks so much for being part of this. I hope that was valuable for you. I hope you feel more connected to the front row. That's it, boys. Adios for now.